Hey, this is the exam coach checking in with you under the new podcast format. I'm no longer walking around the park with my dogs. I'm in a chair with a bottle of liquid thinking by my side, and I'm about to talk for a bit of a longer period of time about topics of my choice that I've been seeing come up on Snapchat, on WhatsApp, and also those that I think would just be relevant to any student taking exams this year. So, this episode, let's crack on and get into it. It's going to be about what you can do in the half term break coming up, because I realise it's actually coming up for a lot of schools within the next week or so. And I want to give you guys some tips and tools that you can use to inform your approach to half term to make sure that number one, you're getting a bit of rest in there and taking a break from the day to day of school. And number two, you're covering what you need to cover in that half-term break, because you can really cover a lot of ground in a week if you structure your time properly and go in there with a clear plan and really execute against it. Hold yourself accountable to it, and you'll come out the other side of that week or 2 weeks, whatever you have for half term, feeling really good about what you did, and you'll be in a nice balanced state. You'll have done a bit of exercise, a bit of resting, a bit of working, a bit of socializing, nice balance there, and you'll be ready to actually hit the second half of the term hard, and you'll have all the info under wraps in a good spot. So let's get into it. First thing I recommend you do, it's a classic, it's pretty obvious, but it needs to be said, get a plan in. Now, I think a lot of students will prefer to plan, perhaps say you leave for half term on the Friday, you take the weekend off, and then Monday you'd do the plan. I would recommend on the Friday you get home from school, just block out an hour or so to plan the whole week, including the Saturday, Sunday, and then the following week into it. It's important you do this because using that momentum that you will have had from that Friday lesson or last lesson at school is going to help you actually just get this thing done. Because one of the key things I'm seeing on WhatsApp, on Snapchat, is a lot of students are saying, hey, how do I plan? How do I get a revision timetable done? And I think one of the biggest hurdles there is they're using planning as something that's actually holding them back. So because they don't have a plan, they can't do anything, which obviously just puts them in a really difficult position to actually get anything done at all. So the short way of how you do a plan is just don't overcomplicate it. Literally, write out the days you have, the hours you have. You can use Google Calendar. That's one of the easiest things to do. It's all there for you. And figure out, what do I need to do? What would I like to do? And how can I plug that in to the time I have available? And that's it. You just task by task list it out. And the plan's going to change. Don't worry, it definitely will. I can tell you now, your plan for half term's 100% going to change. But what makes you good at executing plans is your ability to actually just roll with the punches. You're going to have some days where you're going to be distracted. You're going to have other days when you're on point and you're smashing it. And you're going to have others where the plan changes because you found out something that you now need to do, or something's popped into your head. And one of the key things I think I like to apply is I'll have a little structure for every day. So it will be based around, okay, here's when I'm eating, here's when I'm doing my exercise, here's when I'm, doing any kind of stuff around the house that I need to do, or just general life admin. And then everything else is either work time during the allotted hours that I've said I'm going to work, or relaxation time. So I'm doing those two things, which are kind of opposites, work versus relaxation, but I'm hanging them around all of the other tasks that I know every day are happening. So I'm eating every day, obviously. I'm getting a lot of liquid thinking on board every day. I don't write that in my calendar. I just carry around a bottle with me and make sure I'm slugging away at it and getting it down me, because it's just cracking. You need to keep those water levels topped up. But have these staple things that you do, really, really important as a baseline, and then fill the periods around it in with work. So that's one kind of scaffolding you could use to build a plan. First things first, plan early. Cool, we got that. Don't, on the Friday, don't just kind of muck around on your smartphone and then go and watch X Factor, Strictly, whatever you watch. I don't know what you watch, but YouTube, etc. You know what I mean. Get that first 2 hour slot after you finish school and just use it to plan. Get something down. The second thing I think you should do is reset your body clock. So this is really figuring out, when do you work best? Just look at your behavior when you feel tired, when you feel alert and upbeat, and it's fine. Whether you're morning, whether you're evening, whether you're a lunchtime person, it doesn't matter. But make sure that when you're most attentive, you're doing work, you're doing revision, study, whatever you need to cover, because that's going to play into your wider strategy of exam success. So remember, exam success is about consistency, and that is about showing up every day, being able to just chip away at the work over an extended period of time. And one of the ways you're going to be able to do this is playing to your strengths in terms of how your body clock works. So I'll give you an example. When I was at school, I was at a boarding school, so from 13 to 18, I was staying at the school the whole time, and the wake up time was around 7ish. But I knew I just liked getting up in the mornings. That was when I was always good, and I could hardly ever work during the actual allotted prep time, we called it, or homework time. I just mucked around, or I just couldn't focus that well. And I understood that. So what I did is I just switched it up. I got up early, did an hour of work before every school day started. And then during prep time, I could just chill, relax, take a breather. I didn't have to work as hard, which was good because it just played to my strengths. And I noticed that myself. And I did it. Like, you set your alarm, you get up. I remember the housemaster used to come around and wake everyone up. I'd always be there, just at my desk working, putting a shift in. And yeah, I suppose he just got used to it. In the end, he never had to really wake me up. I was just like, "You right? I'm cracking on. Have a good day. See ya." Anyway, that's my approach. If you want to do that, do it. If you want to figure out your own one, do it. But just know when's the best time of the day for you to work. Next thing you should do, try and do everything you do to time. So that includes things like showers, things like eating, things like I don't know, just going outside or gaming or any kind of leisure. It does help just setting time limits on things, because I noticed this when I played a lot of COD when I was younger, FIFA, things like that. It would just go on and on. I'd burn days on that. And if you're a gamer or you've ever done any gaming, which I'm assuming you have, I've done a bit here and there, or even just on your smartphone, on social media, time just disappears when you don't pay attention to it. If you don't factor out, okay, I've got an hour here, I've got 20 minutes here, I've got 5 minutes here, even just setting a stopwatch timer, just so you can see the time disappearing, is going to help you just play that one less game of FIFA, or that one less battle royale on Fortnite, whatever it is. Understanding that is key. Set time limits on things, and see everything you do as a series of sprints, because throughout the day it will just be a lot clearer on, okay, these are the things I got to get done. This is the amount of time I've set myself for it, and you know what? I'm actually going to time myself doing it, so that you're consciously holding yourself to account. I learnt this lesson really clearly when I was about, I must have been 17. I went down to the Royal Marines Commandos base at Lympston, which is in Devon. It was quality weekend. We were doing all the kind of training that just junior Royal Marines do, and everything there is done to time. Absolutely everything, from waking up, eating, going to the bathroom, all that stuff. It does sound military. It is the military. I'm not saying you should do that as strictly with yourself, but try it out and see if some kind of medium of, okay, these are the activities that I put a time to and I time them, and then these are the activities that I don't. But just find something that works for you and try it out. It will help you get stuff done, and it will make you much more conscious of time itself. The next thing you can do, define what you need to do. This is one of the things that I am still learning, and I struggle with every day, but whenever I go back to this point, it really does help me get started on things. A lot of the reason I think people struggle to get stuff done or make good use of any revision or study or any tasks that they're trying to do in a period like half term is because the definition of what they're trying to do is not clear. One of the ways you can really get defined and focused about what you need to do over half term is look at the tools, look at the syllabus, the mark scheme, the past papers, the model answers, figure out, okay, what do I know? I don't need to look at that because I know it. What don't I know? I do need to look at that because I don't know it. Now, what exactly don't I know that is going to come up on the exam paper? Because I've seen it. It's coming up in these past papers. It's on the syllabus. And here's a few model answers showing me how to do this type of question that I just don't know how to do. So you define it. You say, okay, this specific topic, and then within this topic, this particular thing. It's on page 55 of the textbook. That's the page that explains it. I've got a couple of cue cards here, or flashcards, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to write down some notes based on what's on this page in the textbook. I'm going to cross-reference it to the syllabus. I'm going to see the key points the syllabus is calling out, and I'm going to make sure I am explaining that on my flashcards so that when I go to revise this, using active recall, using spaced repetition, testing myself on a daily basis or bi-daily basis, whatever it is, wherever you're at in your training program for revision, you know exactly what you're learning and why you're learning it. Really important to do that. Getting clarity with what you're trying to do, and it will help you actually get stuff done. Next thing, exercise. So important. I'm actually thankful that I've got the revision retrievers with me, the two dogs. Harley and Hogan are their names, good lads, but they are, a real blessing because they get me out every single day. I have to go outside. I remember when I didn't have them, I'd happily just stay cooped up inside the whole time. And you get lethargic, you get sluggish, you get sleepy, all that stuff that's just not going to allow you to do stuff. It's definitely not going to allow you to revise. And it's not going to allow you to do any of the stuff that's a little bit easier than revision as well, because you're just going to be knackered the whole time. Get outside, get some exercise in. So even when I'm just walking around with the hounds, I'm not exerting myself massively, but I'm breathing. I'm getting a bit of cold, fresh air on my face, and it just wakes you up a bit. Do that. Just go for a little 5-minute walk around where you live. No problem at all doing that. I know you might feel like an old person, but try it, or just a jog. It doesn't really matter, but getting outside is so important. The other thing is intense exercise. You want to be doing that, really getting that heart rate up, and whatever kind of exercise you like doing, whether it's lifting weights, whether it's cardio, whether it's stretching, whatever it is, do it. Get it done. Try and get it done every day. It doesn't have to be every day, but I would say at least 20 minutes, 30 minutes every other day is something you want to be doing, because people underestimate the benefits of just clearing your head. It's very difficult to think about things when you're busting out some push-ups or pegging it on a treadmill. It's very, very difficult to think about your revision when you're doing that. And don't try and revise when you exercise. I really wouldn't recommend that either. People who you see reading books on bikes, they they're not doing them to the best of their ability. One of the exercises is suffering. Either you're reading the book well and cycling poorly, or you're cycling well and reading the book poorly. You're doing one or the other. Just do one thing, focus on it, smash it out the park, and then see exercise as part of your revision. You are technically revising, because what you're doing is you're clearing more space in your memory, in your mind. You're getting that headspace to clear and kind of reset for the next revision session. That's how I saw it. It's just 20-minute stress reliever, boom. Head's cleared, ready to take on more info and sit down and get stuff done. Next thing, intake of water. Again, underestimated. The amount of people that, especially when I've lived with a lot of people over the time of being a student and living in London, just the moment you wake up, you should be chugging water. You should be getting that stuff down you. I remember a good example of this was I was on holiday in Spain with one of my buddies, and his dad was there. His dad was probably about mid-50s at this time, but he was a tank, fit as a fiddle, did marathons, did all the Ironman stuff, and my buddy just he just dropped this in there, but it really stuck with me for some reason. And he said, yeah, my dad drinks 2 liters of water immediately every day. So the moment he wakes up, 2 liters of water. Within, I don't know how many minutes he can do that in, but I'm assuming, well, he's either chugging it or he's just sipping on it over a period of about 2 hours. But he's getting 2 litres of water down him early doors. That's the punchline. And think about that. It's just flushing your system out. You're dehydrated when you've just woken up from sleep. You want to be getting water on board. It's just going to make you feel better and actually give you some fuel in the tank, the liquid that, I think, what is it, 70%, 80% of water that we're made up of? So it's what we're made of. You need it. Get it down you. Just take tap. It's fine. I love a bit of tap. Great tap. You've got a tap in your house. Stick a bottle of liquid thinking down there, underneath, not down there, underneath it, and fill it up, and then get it down you. Really, really important. Stick to the basics. If you get that right, trust me, you're going to be feeling better throughout half term. The other thing I'd say is see this half term week or 2 weeks as a training period. See it as, okay, I'm going in as this person, and I want to come out the other side as this person. I want to have done a bit of exercise. I want to have had, my stress levels lowered. I want to have covered what I need to cover for my mock exams coming up. And if you can see it as a training program and a week of discipline, it's really going to help you, because seeing it as a holiday only really ticks one box, and that's the relaxation box. Really, I think what's probably going to happen there, and I'm just speaking from my experience when I didn't use my holidays at school to get stuff done and put myself in a position to succeed when I went back to school, is I didn't actually feel that relaxed, because the moment I got back to school, the stress levels would just skyrocket because I wouldn't have done anything. So think about that. Think about, okay, this is a training week. This is a week that I'm going to go into, and I'm going to get something out of it, and I'm going to come away from it feeling not stressed and prepared to hit the next half of term hard. Final thing I'd say is try different modes of revising. And by modes, I mean you don't have to just be sitting down revising. You can revise in many different ways. Try standing up. In fact, I stand almost the whole day. And I didn't do this when I was at school, so this would be something new that you could try. I didn't do it just because I didn't know about it, really. But it's funny, when I started my job in 2016 working for VaynerMedia, so VaynerMedia is a global digital advertising agency, worked there for 2 years between 2016 and midway through this year, actually. Awesome place, loved it. Started in a small team, built the office up with the rest of the team, and fantastic vibe and great memories. I've got a lot of Snapchat stories and videos and bits and bobs of that experience. So I'll let you know about that later on this year, when the focus moves a little bit from exams to careers. But awesome times I had there. Anyway, when I got there on my first day, we were in a small office. There was 6 other people, 2 banks of 3. So there was only 6 desks, and I didn't have a desk. I couldn't actually sit down and do any work anywhere. And this obviously isn't characteristic of VaynerMedia's approach to its employees. It was just because we were expanding and the office was too small. So I was actually given a chest of drawers on kind of a bay window ledge to work off of, and I had to stand up and just put my laptop on this chest of drawers. And the first 2-3 days, my quads were absolutely killing me. I could hardly stand up. And it was pretty tough, actually. But the one thing it did do, it's a bit like, when you're doing these stress tests on the body, it's very difficult to go to sleep standing up. If you're forced to stand up, you can't be sleepy. You just have to muster more energy. And it really helped me with my work, actually, because in a chair, I'm even sitting in a chair now, and I'm feeling a little bit low energy. I'm, in fact, kind of moving myself around to try and get more upbeat, because I'm just not that used to sitting down for so long. And I'm always up on my feet doing stuff. You get this as well when you're waiting tables. You don't sit down for the whole night, but the energy just keeps rolling. If any of you have done that, I've done some waiting of tables, bar work, things like that. When you're on your feet the whole time and you're out in the open, you can't get tired. It's funny when you're put in a position where you can or you can't do something, and it's very binary. Your body often just finds the energy from somewhere. So I'd encourage you to actually, instead of sitting down, walk around, stand up, look at the flashcard or the cue card, walking around the house. In fact, put a chest of drawers on your desk, stand up and read the textbook for a bit, scan it, and then write some notes on it. Maybe alternate 30 minutes sitting, 30 minutes standing. really switch it up like that to make sure your energy levels are spiking, and you want to be at a high energy level as much as possible. So that's just a little tip there that I think is useful for you, and I've kept on standing ever since. So I haven't been standing obviously non-stop for 2 years now, but I have during the day. I will stand for a lot of it, and I'm sure those of you have seen any of my Snap stories. Most of them are done from my standing desk, which is it's a kind of a geeky little contraption that you pull out, and it's on top of my clothing cabinet. So works really well actually, and it delivers results. That's what I love about it. It gets me working well, and it's nice to be able to switch from sitting to standing. So try that out. Half term, I'm going to leave you to it now. Let me know if you have any questions, but just make sure you get that plan in and try and use it as best as you can. Half of exams is just about positioning. Throughout the year, just putting yourself in a position to succeed and constantly checking in on, okay, where am I now? Where do I need to be? If you're a little bit behind, don't panic. Put a plan together to get to where you need to be, and just constantly resetting the dial, recalibrating, bringing things back into focus, saying, okay, I've fallen a bit behind, I need to do this. I'm a bit ahead. I can afford to double down a little bit more on my socializing, on my sport. Now's the time when I can focus on my homework. In fact, I'm going to do my revision in January. That kind of thing, depending on whatever the priorities are for you at the moment, is so important. Just being able to keep tabs on things is really crucial. So I'm going to check out. I hope you enjoyed this slightly longer format of podcast. I'm going to be experimenting some more with it, but if anything, let me know if you liked it. Just, you know how to get in contact with me: Snapchat, WhatsApp, email, james@theexamcoach.tv. Just ping me something over email. Let me know any feedback. And the final thing is, give me a rating on the podcast. It's always helpful. I haven't actually asked for too many. I think I've got about 7 or 8 now, and they've just come about, and it was great actually. I've had some decent stuff on there, a few bits of constructive criticism, but I'll always take that on the chin and try and do better next time. Anyway, I'm going to check out, have a cracker, and whatever you're going to do next today, go all in, crush it.